Today, I'm going to be making with you your next favorite breakfast, chorizo and eggs. Obviously, if you're going to make chorizo and eggs, you got to have some chorizo. So you could make your own homemade chorizo. You could buy one of the national brands. There's some really decent ones out there. Or you could go to your local Mexican grocery store and buy the creation of one of the butchers. I think that that works really, really well because you're supporting local craftsmen and at the same time you're getting something that's unique. I have today some homemade chorizo, but you don't have to go to that extent just to do this simple dish. I have a non-stick skillet here, which is what I would highly recommend for this. And I'm going to put the chorizo in here to start. No oil. There is a chance, you heard it sizzle right away, which meant that I had the pan heating here for a minute before we put the chorizo in, which is my recommendation always, so that the cooking starts immediately. We'll see what happens here in the next minute or so as it starts to render some of the fat. But while that's happening, I'm going to slice up a medium onion. Now, when you're talking about chorizo and eggs, it could be as simple as just chorizo and eggs, or you can start to give it a little bit more interesting stuff. Lots of people in Mexico would actually add some tomato, onion, and a little bit of green chile, sort of what we would call a salsa mexicana or a pico de gallo. And you can do that. Today, I'm going to take it in another direction and add some sort of caramelized onion, which I'm slicing, not chopping, just for variation in texture. And then I'm going to add a little bit of roasted poblano. You could do that, or you could actually put a little chipotle chili in here. That'll add some smoky spice. So let's go back and take a look now at this chorizo and see what's happening. A little bit of fat is rendering out of it, but not tons. So at this stage, I want to see enough fat coming out of it that I can actually see in that pooling around, covering basically the base of this skillet. So I don't see that, so I'm going to add a little bit of oil. We will need oil for this cooking of the onion part of it here. So now that we've got some rendering going on there, I'm going to add the onion to the pan. And I think I had a little piece of the root end there that I meant to take out. And now we're going to let this cook for, I'm going to say, about 8 minutes or so. We want the onion to soften up and really beautifully start to brown, get that sort of rich, sweet carameliness going on, and depth of flavor that you get in browning the onion as well. The chorizo is starting to brown now, and so are the onions. They're very soft and nice there. I'm going to add the other ingredient that I talked about, which is the poblano. So I have a roasted poblano here. I know a lot of you know how to roast it. You roast it like you would a red bell pepper or something over an open flame or up under a preheated broiler. And then when it's blackened on the outside, cool it off, pull off the skin, pull out the seed pod. I briefly rinse it off just to get rid of the stray seeds and bits of skin, chop it all up. I've got it into about 1/4-inch pieces here, and I'm going to put those in with the chorizo and onion mixture here. So you can see what a beautiful mixture that we have. And I just wish there was some way to tell you or to share with you how beautiful it smells right now in here. All of my favorite stuff in one skillet right now. Okay, so let's talk about the eggs while that's kind of heating together there. Not too much salt will go into this. I've already cracked the eggs into a bowl. I'm going to put about 1/2 teaspoon of salt in there because remember there's plenty of salt in the chorizo. I want to whisk them all together, or I'm beating with a fork here, until I don't see the streaks of white and yolk. I want it to be an even mixture, but not beaten so much that they start to get foamy. That should just about do it, a little bit more. Now I'm going to turn my fire down to between medium and medium low because I'm going to use the technique for cooking the scrambled eggs. In fact, I'm just going to take it off the fire for a second here. So I can put these in. And I use the technique for doing scrambled eggs that's the low and slow method. That's my favorite one. So I'm just going to stir the eggs into the chorizo, onion, and roasted poblano mixture there. And then put it back over this lower fire. And we're going to just stir it until everything has completely coagulated but still looks moist and soft. I don't stir it all the time. I usually use a rubber spatula to do this. After I've let it set for 10-15 seconds or so, I'll kind of go around the outside and lift into the center, the part that has set, so that I can put new uncooked egg on the bottom. And then I'll just let it sit again and let it cook slowly like this. It takes some patience, but I think it's really, really worth it because you get such a beautiful end result. There's some of you out there that probably like to do the really fast method of cooking scrambled eggs, and I know that that's what they teach in culinary school most of the time, but my favorite is this sort of low and slow version. Okay, I'm going to turn this off now. It's not quite finished cooking, but I always turn the pan off right before it is and just let the heat, the residual heat in the pan, do that last little bit of cooking there. I want to give it a taste just to make sure that I've got enough salt in it. I think we're right on the mark for that part of it. Not very much at all. You'll always want to serve this, I think, with some tortillas to make some delicious breakfast tacos out of. I like to put a little bit of cilantro. I'm just pulling off some of the leaves of the cilantro here because I think they'll look really pretty on top of this. This looks just like the way I like the scrambled eggs to be. It's a slightly smaller curd than you would get if you did the higher heat method of it. And I know everybody's very picky about what they want in their scrambled eggs, so you'll make it to suit your own taste. But I think you'll find that the ingredient proportions in this work really, really well. So I will put our cilantro leaves over the top of it. And then you could make this into a breakfast sandwich with a telera or a bolillo if you wanted to do it that way. I have the little tortillas hot and ready to go here. So I'm going to take a spoonful of these scrambled eggs into the tortilla, put on a spoonful of tomatillo salsa. That's my favorite combination. I think it's pretty much everybody's favorite combination in Mexico, and I can't talk anymore because my mouth is watering too much. I hope you enjoy your scrambled eggs with chorizo.